there you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Anga, and if you're new here, thank you for checking this video out. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for your patience, because wow, it's been a year and a half, but hey, I'm back and I'm posting, and I think this is material that you would definitely like to consume. I wanted to make a video that I would have loved when I was applying for a grad program. So today's video is actually going to be talking about applying for grad programs in South Africa, and we're going to be breaking down our conversation to a number of points. So let's get right into it. So firstly, I think if you are a South African student, these 3 sites are crucial to your profile being known, being visible, you being able to reach recruiters and recruiters being able to reach you. And that is 1, Libly. So a couple of banks, for an example, use this, and you often get contacted even if you didn't apply for something, because recruiters will go through profile to see who should be applying for their program. So if you still don't have a profile yet, I would definitely get onto that. Secondly, it's LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is such a great platform, and sometimes as a student, you don't know exactly what to put in there because it seems so corporate, but trust me, the little projects that you've done, the things that you've learned, things that exposes you, the personality, your way of thinking, that's what you want to be putting in there. Create a portfolio, follow the companies you're interested in, look for people who are doing grad program in the companies you're interested in, doing similar roles that you would be interested in. Hit them up, say, hey, can I give you a quick call on Teams or onto voice call here on LinkedIn, just chat a bit more about the grad program you're doing. I'm very interested in it. Most people will reply, and most people will give you 5-10 minutes, and there's a lot you can do with that. The important one is having opened a portfolio within the respective company's websites. So I think those 3 steps in terms of making your CV available, making your portfolio available, is very, very important. Do not shy away from reaching out to recruiters. Attend virtual days that the banks or those companies are having. Be there, ask questions. Second part we're going to be looking at is obviously the different companies' recruitment sites. It's very important that you have portfolio like we have touched on. But one thing I want to specifically say here is, because you don't know the company's internal systems, you're most likely going to be missing a lot of things as far as using this. So some companies are quite straightforward. They will advertise their recruitment programs on their recruitment sites, and you can apply and you stand a chance. Some companies, they will be recruiting in a different platform and make those jobs available on their main platform when they've actually made the offers to certain people. And I have experienced all sort of this, and I want to tell you now, so don't just rely on one of those. If you see that a certain company is advertising a job on their portfolio, on their website, make sure to apply, make sure to create a portfolio, but also make sure that that's the way they're recruiting. Very crucial, because you don't want to be the person applying for a job that already has somebody on it. And then the next thing I want us to talk about is CV updates. This can be tedious when you are doing your honors, your 3rd year, and you have to worry about varsity and tailoring CVs to every specific job description. But it's very important. It is what will separate you from the screening processes. So what I always advise to do is to actually have a good CV management system. So if your CV is in a Word or PDF, like I wrote my CV, and I still keep my CV as a LaTeX written PDF, so I will always have it, my main skeleton CV, onto my overleaf, and then every time I'm applying for a different thing, I will then highlight from skill set, technical skills, language, programming languages. I will highlight what I need to highlight based on the job description. Do not lie. Just present it in a way that answers the questions of requirement for that job grad description, skill set that are required for it, and don't make it too unnecessarily detailed. Like, the people who are looking at your CV are interested in that you're a good candidate. They don't really want to know that you're the perfect candidate. So make sure that you highlight the best skills that align with the actual job description. Don't be like, I want to highlight that thing though because I'm so proud of it. If it's not relevant, if you want to mention it and it's not relevant, either don't mention it at all or make sure it's not the highlight of your skill set. Then now going on to references. I think this is where most grads will make mistakes. They will just ask anyone to be their reference. You don't know what that person actually think about you. Be very cautious of that, because trust me, if a recruiter calls the person you put in a reference and they don't say something great about you, that is going to directly impact, like, it's not part of, it's most likely going to be the determining factor, because I mean they're hearing about you from firsthand. So make sure that you put in reference with people who you've given an opportunity to sort of get to know you a bit better. Don't give, a box reference like, oh, this person lectured me, or this person. Make sure it's a person you've engaged with. Make sure it's somebody who you feel that has an insight on who you are, your ethics, your drive, who has an insight of your drive, your work ethics, your mental, like your way of thinking, your technical skill set, etc. Then the other thing that you have to be absolutely prepared for is an unplanned phone call from the HR department. Most companies, in my case, I was applying a lot to like bank and tech companies. Trust me, they want to do this impromptu because they can get you most of guard. So the questions here are usually very easy. But also, if you don't know how to structure your answers very well and tailor them to the needs, to highlight what that person needs to know in 5 minutes about you in order to put you through over 2,000 applicants, you can fail. So make sure that questions such as, tell me about yourself. Like, yes, we love that you're a good cook. Yes, we love that you enjoy a bit of a sport, but make sure there's a strategic way that you're presenting yourself. If you're talking about hobbies, highlight the fact that, use it to highlight something that you think is fundamental. Like, for example, I will talk about what I do as an extracurriculum to provide an insight on what I care about. What are the things that drives me? Where do I see myself placing value in society? And how do I link that to the job that I will have and the skill set that I would learn there? So don't just like that thing, I did that. No, like, if it doesn't highlight you in the light that you need to show yourself in, not lie, but show yourself in, then you just make a mistake. So make sure you're very prepared for questions like that. Tell me about yourself. Why did you study what you studied? Why the varsity you picked? Why should I hire you? Why not the other grad applicants? And please don't say things that are generic. Like, don't be like, I think you should hire me because I'm the best candidate. You don't know that. So when an HR lady or male is asking you that question, they want you to acknowledge the truth. The fact that, for the most part, you have a CV that looks like your colleagues or your potential colleagues. So tell them something about you that basically stands out. Don't be like, well, I did math. The requirement for this was to study math or some mathematical science course. So trust me, the 2,000 people they're trying to cut down from have have mathematical science course somewhere in their academic records. So make sure you leave a mark. Be enthusiastic. Like, this person is going through a lot of people. If he or she calls you and you're just like, yeah, no. Be enthusiastic. Be remembered. Be as excited as you are. Don't shy away from showing that excitement, that you're excited for the opportunity, that you're excited to get into the industry that you've always wanted to be. Communicate that. And just give reasons. Don't be generic and say, this is such a great opportunity. Be specific. I've always imagined myself to work in a space that's like this and this and this. And when I was doing my research on this company, I was actually quite amused at the fact that these are the kind of projects that the teams are doing. These are the kind of problems that you're solving. This is the kind of value this is adding to the South African economy. And I couldn't be more excited to be part of a team that is a game changer in that way. See, that is a more specific answer. You are tailoring to what the company you're interested in is doing. What is their mark in the industry? You're showing that you did your research. You're showing that you have an understanding of what your projects or the kind of things you're going to be working on in that team. So even if you're excited about what CIB did in that company, if you're not getting into CIB, yeah, you can browse over it, but highlight, the things that your interest of business units is actually doing. If you want to get into data science, don't be like, oh my gosh, I like the fact that your investment front office is, yeah, we like that. But like, tell me why data science, tell me that you want to be a data science in our company because this is what we're doing with data and this is how it's revolutionizing the economy. This is why it's giving us a certain competitive advantage in the market. So be very, very specific. Talk about what that company's interview, what that company's chief office of technology said on an interview on business tech, and why it's very important for South Africans to invest in tech, to why it's so important for a customer-centric company to invest in data, to invest in you, and why you think those solutions are actually revolutionary. So be very specific. Talk about your business units. Don't shy away from saying, man, I was so frustrated when I learned that company ABCD scored this much on the customer metric that was done by. You're showing that you're fascinated by what's happening, you understand what's happening. And also, there's going to be, oftentimes there are ridiculously simple questions that you may end up not being able to answer. So make sure you have covered the bases. So if you're applying into CIB or into insurance, bank insurance company, be very specific, right? Highlight the things that are great about those divisions. Show that you're knowledgeable about the market, the South African market and industry. Show that you've done your research and you understand the industry. And please, man, know the CEO of the companies, have a good idea of what the exact management looks like, what the company's directive is in the next 5 years. Those are usually public information. Have a good idea of those. They can help you in deriving a lot of the super simple questions. So if you get asked something like, who's our CEO? And you don't know, it's not a good look. Just make sure you cover those basic questions. The next thing I want us to go to is the personality test. God, this is not my favorite part because I found them to be quite tedious, but they're so brilliant. And this is research that's been carried out from different countries, different places, different workspaces, and your results are going to be compared across people in your interest. And that's quite an exciting opportunity because you get to measure yourself, what your personality looks like across people who are actually successful in the industry you are excited to get into. Now, the results of that may mean maybe you are totally a mismatched personality for that industry, but that's okay. Now you know that. So make sure that when you do the test, you have enough time. Take a deep breath. Don't try to be strategic about it. Be honest, because it's very helpful for yourself. It's helpful for the company, because trust me, if you get placed, especially because a lot of grad programs, you apply to them as an open sort of brand where it's apply for a grad program, but then there's there's different divisions that are going to end up interviewing you. So if you end up lying, you may end up, if you end up trying to look a certain way, to score a certain way, then you're going to end up depriving yourself of an opportunity of working in a space where you could really, really be excellent. So be honest, tell the truth. try to answer as quickly as you can. Don't overthink it. And make sure that whether a recruiter is moving you to the next stage or not, please try to ask for that document. It's very helpful. A lot of companies will send it to you either way. If not, contact the recruiter back and say, hey, I understand that I wasn't taken for this role, I didn't proceed to the next phase, but I would really like to understand my personality trait, and since I've already taken the test, if there's a way, may you just email me the document, or may I please have access to the results. So that's usually such an important thing, and then you can get to sit down, understand your strength, understand your personality, understand your way of thinking, and that can help you gear yourself towards the person that you want to be. The next thing I want to talk about is the technical exam or technical test. Different companies will have different technical tests, but they try to make them as open as possible. They're not going to make them, unless, the one that I wrote that was very specific was a data science one. So it was very specific to machine learning, deep learning, different methodologies and of solving certain problems and how you deal with certain data issues, data cleaning, exploring, modeling, just things like that, hyperparameter tuning, things like that. So it was quite specific because it was a specific role. So if you're writing a technical test for a specific role, develop your fluency in the language of that specific role, and also just like obviously the skill set itself. The thing we're going to talk about is you're most likely going to have your first interview, if you make it to the stage, with the actual business managers or senior people within those teams that are interested in you. It's very important to ask questions at this stage. You are going to have an opportunity to get different offers. You want to understand the team you're getting into, you want to understand the culture, you want to understand, and yes, you've done your research right now, but now you get to speak to a person who's living that as an experience. So ask as many questions as you have. Don't ask questions for the sake of asking questions. It's very easy to tell. And also just be yourself, be honest. And if you don't know something, I think one thing that I find that people don't know how to manage during these cases is not knowing an answer to a question. So if you get asked a technical question by somebody who's been doing something for so long, trust me, they're more than willing to, explain it to you. It's just how you manage it that gives you a yes or a no. Then I want to talk about the actual business days or projects that you get given, or business cases. These are usually quite fascinating because they're very simple, but they give you a good idea just of a small, tiny day in or moment in, a person who's going to be doing the job that you potentially will get. So if it's a data science, you could get a data science project where you have to build a model, predict something. It's usually very easy given the data. It's usually, even if you need to do some data cleaning, it's not intensively, super like difficult choices that would need a lot of business insight. It's sort of stuff you can sort of decide on a technical level. So don't over worry about that. Just make sure you do that on time, prep for it, and put a good project report. And then if you get business days, I particularly enjoyed the business day I had for the company that I currently work for. It was so insightful. Business cases are amazing, projects are amazing. Take them with ease, do your research, talk to a friend, the offer crisis before you get to risk profiles. Offer crisis is, you're interested in 3 companies. They're all going to give you offers at different times. How do you manage that? And usually all my friends, including myself, did I have the same dilemma? Well, I did a some degree, yes. So the dilemma is you don't want to turn down. So for example, in your top 3, you have your top employer and businesses that you want to work for. And then the list goes on. Then the person who's number 4 gives you the offer first. Like weeks or months before, you could sort of predict when the other outcomes are going to come. How do you manage that? So usually what people would do is they'll accept that offer and then they will communicate that they've changed their mind. later. You can do that. It will close doors for you though in the future. So be mindful of that. So think very carefully about what you want to do and how you want to do it. That's all I can say on that. And then risk profiles, it's just about going to get your risk, your criminal records and all those things, and then do all the background checks that have to be done. I wouldn't worry about this unless obviously you have a reason to be worried. If you have a reason to be worried, I would say communicate it. Don't just say, I'm gonna go do the fingerprints. Like, communicate it to the recruiter that I understand we've gotten to a point where I have to do my risk profile. I did have an altercation of this case and this case and this case. Now, the other thing I'm going to communicate about is CTC. Don't get bullied, because recruiters have a budget and they will offer you under budget. Like, I remember this company that offered me like it offered me X amount, and I've had friends who went to work before me and like, child, no. And I went back to the recruiter, like, no, thank you, then I won't take it. And then she upped it on the spot with like 6.5. And I'm like, no, still under what I would get offered in Joburg on average. And then she kept pushing and pushing, and I was like, at this point we're pushing and getting to 10K plus, and you offered me what initially? So trust me, a lot of companies, they will try to give you an offer that's way less than what their budget is. And I know a lot of people in HR, they get bonuses based on those things. Some companies get bonuses based on giving you less salary and having you accept it and sign it. So advocate for yourself, know what your peers are getting, know what other people's offers are, understand what the market value is for that skill set. And then try to communicate it. Try to communicate it very well. If it's something close to what you were imagining, say, hey, can I get a bit of a breakdown on how much of that is going to be on, provident funds, retirements, medical aid, allowances, and all those other benefits, fringe benefits, and all those, so that you could have an idea of whether that's worth it or not. So yeah. The last part, obviously, is accepting your offer. So yeah, accept your offer, go to the company, have a good time. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that you are somewhat prepared for the journey of grad program. I hope you would have applied by now, because most grad open in like May. So if not, get into it, girl or boy, like, trust me. And anyways, good luck, and I hope next year you get the permanent jobs that you're looking for, and then you're placed within a company that you will enjoy yourself. It's a tedious process, but it's worth it at the end. Make sure you do it right for yourself. Cheers, guys. See you in the next video. If you haven't already, subscribe down below, give this video a big thumbs up, and comment what other question you would like to ask me. If I know the answer, I'll give it to you. If not, I'll say I don't. Hey, you. Why are you leaving without subscribing? Subscribe to your life journey with Anga. For more content, make sure you are notified every time by clicking on that notification bell.